Hello there. Hi. Assalamualaikum. I am live today. We are back with our weekly Facebook Live on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. So if you're watching me, say hello so that I don't feel lonely on this side. Because today we are going to talk about how to handle negative feedback. Now, this is something that many of our students, they ask us, how do I handle criticism, or how do I handle a person when they tell me something that, that's not so nice? What do I say? How do I handle it? How do I overcome this feeling, this negative feeling that I have when I receive negative feedback? Okay, so I can see Aisha. Hello, I can see you. Say hello to me. I can see some viewers here, but I can't see any of your comments yet. Hello, Assalamualaikum, Nisa. Thanks for saying hello to me. Julia Zira. Hello, Alhamdulillah. Okay, thanks for joining me. It's great to see you in the comments, and also see that you've shared some likes, and give me a heart, and you can even share this video with your friends. Okay, today we're going to talk about how to handle negative feedback. So I have slides for you. Okay, now you can see it, right? So there are 6 tips that I'm going to share with you today on how to handle negative feedback. Hi Soharti, hello Elfie, Ikin, Nigel, Nurul, Muhammad Izani, Muhammad Hidayat, Abdul Karim, Nurul Anis, Rohaya. Thanks for saying hello to me. It's so great to see you this morning. How are you all doing? I feel like I haven't done this Facebook Live sessions in a while now. I think we took a break. We took a break last week because we had just finished launching Members Monthly. We opened registration for Members Monthly 2 weeks ago. So last week we took a break so that we could focus on our students. But we're back now. So we are live on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. So I hope you'll join us in our upcoming Facebook Live sessions as well. All right, so I am going to go to the first slide now. How to handle negative feedback. So I have 6 ways that you can handle negative feedback. All right. Number 1, anticipate the feedback. So sometimes, we are presenting something, we have plucked up the courage to say something at work, or say something in a meeting or a discussion, or we've prepared for a presentation, and we are so confident in what we have to say, but we never anticipate that people are going to maybe disagree with you, or people are going to share their own opinion about something that you say or about something that you present. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to always anticipate feedback. And sometimes the feedback can be good, and sometimes the feedback can be not so good. Okay? And also, when you anticipate feedback, it also helps for you to be better prepared when you have to speak up or when you have to present. So you can anticipate the questions that they may ask. You can anticipate the feedback that they give to you, so that you are able to answer their questions and also handle any negative feedback in a rational manner. Because you have to know that when you put yourself out there, when you speak up, if you've always been quiet and then suddenly you speak up, right? You speak up, whether it's in a small meeting or whether it's in a presentation, there will always be somebody there to respond, right? And sometimes their response may not be how you expected it to be. It may be negative. So when you're ready, when you know that people are going to give you feedback, you will be able to handle criticism better. Okay? And the more people that you speak to, the higher the likelihood that you are going to get negative feedback, right? It's not something that is pleasant, but it's something that it's just part of life. The more that you speak up, the more that you're going to get people to respond to you, and it could be negative feedback. But I don't want you to use this to anticipate feedback and be afraid to not speak. So some people think like, oh gosh, I don't want feedback. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be criticized. So I'm not going to say anything, because they're anticipating feedback, right? But I want you to use this tip to anticipate feedback so that you can handle feedback better, right? Because I know some people, they're just so afraid of being judged that they've just preferred to keep quiet and not take any risks. But just know that everybody has handled some sort of negative feedback in their lives, and it's normal. Okay, so that's tip number one, anticipating feedback. Hello, I can see everybody here. Hello, Fatia, RH Roses, Mia. Okay, number two, take some time to process the feedback. Okay, so it depends on how you receive the feedback. Maybe you receive it through one-to-one discussions, or you receive it in your presentation, or you receive it in a group meeting. Okay, so it depends on the situation. And sometimes you receive feedback through text or through email. So it depends, but take some time to process it. So if you receive the feedback, negative feedback, through written communication, so it could be through text, or it could be through email, then you are given a longer time to process it before you actually reply and hit send. But when you are in a situation where you are one-to-one with them, or you are in like on a stage where people are listening to you, or maybe you're in a group discussion, the time for you to process the feedback is a bit shorter. But give yourself a bit of time to process the feedback. What I mean by processing the feedback is you listen to it, right? Without feeling any that you need to be defensive, without feeling angry, and put yourself in the shoes of that person. So take the feedback, be open to it, and listen to it without feeling that you need to react. Okay, so take some time to process it, listen to it, right? Number three, acknowledge the feedback, acknowledge the negative feedback, and apologize if you made a mistake. So what I mean by acknowledging the feedback is saying thank you. Thank you for sharing your feedback. Okay, or you could say, okay, I understand the feedback. Thank you for sharing it with me. And if you made a mistake, right, you could apologize. If you didn't make a mistake, then you don't need to apologize. So for example, somebody gave you feedback that maybe your boss says to you, I don't like that you always come in to work late, right? So you could say, okay, thank you for sharing your feedback. Apologize that I've been late over the past few weeks, right? You apologize, you acknowledge it, because if you do not acknowledge the feedback, it may seem like that you are dismissing what they have to say about you. You are dismissing their opinion if you don't acknowledge it. Okay, so acknowledge the feedback and apologize if you have made a mistake. Number four, you don't defend yourself if it's not necessary. So the first thing, the instinct that we have when we receive feedback is we want to defend ourselves. We want to say, yeah, but I'm always late because I have small children. I need to send them to kindergarten in the morning, and then there's a huge traffic jam on my way to work. That sounds like you are being defensive. Now, although that is true, it's not necessary. It's not necessary for you to defend yourself. Sometimes it may be necessary for you to defend yourself if you feel that you've been accused of something that you didn't do. But in most situations, when somebody is giving you feedback so that you can improve, you don't need to defend yourself. Another thing is that when you are defending yourself, it may sound like you are not accepting the feedback. And when you are not accepting the feedback, it will sound like you don't want to improve, or you don't want to be better. Okay? So don't defend yourself if it's not necessary. But if you do feel that it's necessary for you to defend yourself so that they understand where you're coming from, then maybe you do need to defend yourself. So use that at your discretion. And another thing is that when you defend yourself, it may sound like you are just giving excuses for a poor behavior that they are highlighting. Okay? So use this at your discretion. I remember back when I was younger, people would share feedback with me, and I would feel like I want to defend myself because I thought that, I was like, I acted this way because of this situation. But it came across as an excuse, and I came across as a person who didn't accept feedback. And so I've learned from that. I've learned that sometimes it's best not to defend myself and just to listen to the feedback and take it but not take it personally, but take it as something that I can improve on. Okay? Even though I believe that, there's a reason why I act a certain way. Some people, they don't even want to hear the excuse. They just want you to know that, they are not happy with this, and they want you to accept it, to listen to them, and do something about it. Okay? Number 5, process the feedback objectively. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that when you are listening to the feedback, or you've just received that feedback and you're processing it, try not to take it so personally. Okay? Maybe they are giving feedback, and then when they're giving feedback, what I mean is you take it objectively, you don't take it personally, you look at the situation as an outsider. Okay? So that person is giving you feedback. You try to put yourself in the shoes of that person who is giving you feedback, so that you understand why they feel that way, and you understand, their own situation, that every person has their own life experiences, everybody has their own points of view, and acknowledging that they are entitled to their opinion and they have a right to speak up. Okay? So process the feedback objectively without taking it personally. And you can even ask them, if you have the opportunity, especially if it's a one-to-one conversation, you can even ask them, like, why do you feel that way? So that you're able to understand them, so that you're putting yourself in the shoes of that person and trying to understand why they are upset with you, or why they are giving you this negative feedback, so that you can understand why, and then you can do your best to amend the situation, or stop doing something that they don't want you to do. Okay? And for example, what if somebody complains about your grammar or about your English? Somebody says, oh, your English is really bad, you need to improve your grammar, or don't talk. Process it objectively. Maybe you can think, okay, yes, I do agree that my English needs to be improved, and try to put yourself in the shoes of that person. Why do they say that? Maybe it's because they think that you can improve. Okay, I will improve. Maybe they're just being arrogant. Who knows, right? So try not to take things so personally. Take it as something that you can learn from. Which brings me to my next tip, which is learn from the feedback. So some people, when they give feedback, they can be a bit mean, especially if they have poor communication skills. But take the constructive feedback and leave the rest. If they're just being mean, then you can just, dismiss it. But if they are giving you feedback, which may be mean, but you can take something out of it, like if somebody says, your English is really bad, the learning that you can take from that is that, okay, I need to improve my English. Maybe I need to join a class. Maybe I need to watch more English speaking shows so that I can improve my English. So you can learn from the feedback. And also it's good to know that sometimes it's very hard for the person to share negative feedback. So it's maybe just as hard for them to share negative feedback as it is for you to actually receive the negative feedback. So knowing that it's difficult for someone to share negative feedback, it will help you to understand that, it means something to them. It's important for them to share that feedback with you so that you can do something about it. And as I look back on my career, when I was a young person in the corporate world, I received a lot of feedback. And how I learned from that is like, oh, okay, now I know that I shouldn't do this. Or now I know that I shouldn't have acted that way, or I shouldn't have been so defensive when I received feedback. And now I'm working at My English Matters. We receive feedback in other ways. Okay. And I was also a freelancer, part-time freelancer for 6 years, and I received a lot of feedback back then. So if it was positive feedback, it's great. If it was negative feedback, they just say, okay, thank you for sharing your feedback. And if there's something that you want them to explain more on, then you can ask, why did you share this feedback? Or why is it this way? Okay, so that's how you handle feedback. And you learn from every situation that you go through. Okay, so those are my 6 tips. Do you have any questions? If you do, you can type them in the comments. Let me see the comments here. Jacqueline says, yes, very true. Sometimes it's very difficult whether we should defend or not defend. Yes, you have to decide for yourself whether it's good for you to defend yourself or not. Most of the time, I would not defend myself unless it was really necessary, unless I was wrongly accused of something. Okay. Or maybe you could just ask them, like, why do you feel this way? So if they can explain, I feel this way because blah, 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 then you can say, oh, okay, I understand. But I hope that you know that I did this because blah, blah, blah. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay, what is, oh, sorry. Okay, Yenny says, what is acknowledge? Acknowledge means to, whether you want to say thank you. So you are acknowledging, you are giving validation. I don't know if you can know what validation is. You are saying thank you to them, or, thank you for your feedback. So basically it's like saying, appreciating something that somebody gives you, even though it's like negative feedback. You appreciate it by saying thank you for sharing your feedback. All right. Let me see. Mr. Yunus says, good morning. Can you share one tip on how to avoid mumbling when talking? Secondly, what kind of words that when we can make people around us aware on the importance of practicing English? Sometimes people like to judge us for not using the Malay language. Number one, how to avoid mumbling is just by speaking louder, right? So if you notice, I speak loud for these situations because I know, one, that I'm on a video, so I want you to hear me. It's important for me to engage with you, and just speak louder, especially when you are talking. Focus on one word or one phrase at a time. So you can put stress on certain words. You can make some words a bit lower pitched. So that's how you avoid mumbling. What kind of words we can make people around us aware on the importance of practicing English? I'm not sure about that. Can't think of it on the spot right now. Sometimes people like to judge us for not using the Malay language. If people do judge you for not using the Malay language, meaning that you speak English and people judge you, you just say, oh yeah, I'm using English now because I want to improve my English. Just make it clear to them. Be honest about it. Unless it's really bothering them and they don't understand you, then you can translate for them. Said, or what I mean is, then you can translate it in your native language, which is Malay. Okay, Passion says, acknowledge is like acceptance. Exactly, yes, that's right. Okay. I don't think I have any more comments here or any questions. If you do, before I go. Yeah. So that's all from me for today. So number one, let's summarize, anticipate the feedback. Okay, that means that you expect feedback. And there's going to be feedback. There's going to be positive feedback and there's going to be negative feedback. That's number one. Number two, take time to process the feedback. If you are speaking one-to-one with that person, take a bit of time to just listen and try to understand them and try not to be defensive at the same time. If you receive negative feedback through email, that's even better because you have a longer time for you to process the feedback. Number three, acknowledge the feedback and apologize if you have made a mistake. Okay, so acknowledging means that you say, thank you for sharing the feedback. And if you have made a mistake, then you say, I apologize for acting that way. I apologize for my behavior. Okay, or I acknowledge that I was the cause of this problem. I was partly involved, or it depends on the situation, right? So apologize if you have made a mistake. Number four, you don't have to defend yourself if it's not necessary, because when you defend yourself, it may sound like you are giving excuses or you are not accepting the feedback objectively. Number five, process the feedback objectively. Try not to take it personally. Put yourself in the shoes of that person who has shared that feedback. Try to understand why they have shared that feedback with you. And you can even ask them, like, why do you feel that way? Why do you say that, if they have not shared why? And number 6, learn from the feedback. So for every negative feedback that you receive, learn from it. Sometimes you're like, okay. Sometimes it's just that you learn from that situation. You're like, okay, next time I am going to react this way, or next time I'm going to say this. There's always a next time, and there's always some learning from every situation that you go through, even though it was not a pleasant situation. Okay, so that's all from me for today. If you are not yet on our email list, go to myenglishmatters.com. We have 7 tips to help you speak with confidence when you sign up. Sign up with your name and your email address, and you will get our 7 tips to speak with confidence through email. And then you also get weekly emails from us and regular updates about when we open registration for our online programs and more. And so all the fun is at myenglishmatters.com. So I'll see you there. And I hope to see you next week. Inshallah, we'll be back for a Facebook Live session on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Thank you for joining me. It has been fun. Thank you, Norazian, Yeni, Ahlia, Izah, Ishaq, Roslina, Kite. Thanks so much. And I'll see you next week. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.